Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to be giving my review for Starfinder, the new Paizo tabletop role-playing game, which was intended to be Pathfinder in space, or what many people expected to be Pathfinder in space. So I do want to just take a moment. So my review for this game is 2 out of 5 stars, and my review is quite negative. And I just want to take a moment and talk about that. So I know that the internet is just chock full of negativity right now, and it's always kind of been. And so I really do what I can to avoid bringing negative content. And if I am bringing negative content, there should be a reason for it. Now, the reason I'm bringing negative content right now, normally on any product, if I don't really like that product, what's the point of me coming on the internet and saying, I don't like this product for XYZ reason, blah, 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 right? Now, I know that actually gets a lot of views, but I don't think that's a good thing, and I really do everything I can to avoid that. If I don't like a product, I just move on, and I go find products that I do like, and I talk about those on the internet with the idea of spreading the joy, right? Well, the reason I'm going to talk about Starfinder is a massively important tabletop role-playing game. It's important to the past, present, and the future of the tabletop role-playing game industry. It's part of tabletop role-playing game history, and there are a lot of lessons to be learned from it. And so that's why I'm taking the time to talk about it. Okay, so let's get into it. So a lot of people are going to review Starfinder, and they're going to say, let's talk about Starfinder's races and there's classes and the worlds and the setting and the rules, right? Well, I get the importance of that, right? But I genuinely am interested in tabletop role-playing games, all caps, tabletop role-playing games. And I'm really interested in the industry. I'm becoming more and more interested in the industry. Not just a game here and a game there, but the industry. And so if you are looking at Starfinder from the perspective of the industry, there is a lot of important things that are happening with that game, right? So what was at stake with Starfinder? A lot. The biggest thing that was at stake with Starfinder was Paizo's growth, right? So Paizo's history is that it had tremendous success with Pathfinder, which was Dungeons & Dragons 3.75. And there was a period where they were outselling Dungeons & Dragons 4th edition, right? That's huge. No tabletop role-playing game had ever done this before, where it was just, head-to-head outselling Dungeons & Dragons. And there was a short period where that happened with Pathfinder, right? And so that was important, right? Well, when Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition came out, who was going to continue to play a knockoff when the real deal was back? And the real deal was, this is like Elvis was alive again, man. Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, reunited the community of Dungeons & Dragons players that had been sundered when Dungeons & Dragons 4th edition came out. And so once D&D came back 5th edition, people dug it, and people are like, hey, D&D's back in town. Nobody's gonna listen to an Elvis impersonator when Elvis is in the building, right? And that's what was happening with Paizo. Now, Paizo had created and accomplished an amazing amount had accomplished some very distinct innovations. Here's what I think Paizo Publishing accomplished, right? By the way, Paizo Publishing is the company that owns Pathfinder, right? What they accomplished was specifically, they had accomplished, so 2 things. One, a subscription service for adventures. This had never been done before, let alone been done at the success rate of that Paizo was able to do it. So they would create these very, very large spanning adventures for Pathfinder, which had beautiful art, beautiful layout, beautiful fonts, well written, really, really great adventures, okay? And they would release them on a monthly subscription basis to a subscriber base. That was a true innovation in the market. Absolutely stellar, really, really impressive innovation in the market. The other thing that they did was they actually mastered rhythmic, high-quality release deployment within tabletop role-playing game. Now, the reason they were able to do this was, at first, at its beginning, Paizo Publishing was really a magazine company. And what they did was they made tabletop role-playing game releases look like magazine releases, which was brilliant. That was a really cool innovation, right? But at the end of the day, Paizo is essentially a magazine company that was then, transitioning into being a tabletop role-playing game company. It had incredible success with Pathfinder, but then that success, it waned very, very quickly when Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition came out, right? So Starfinder, the whole point of Starfinder, in my opinion, was to give the company momentum again. Okay, that's what it needed to accomplish. So, and the other thing is, any new tabletop role-playing game, it has the possibility of doing two distinct things. It can change the company that it is being released by, fundamentally for better or for the worse, right? The idea, the designers are always, thinking, hey, I'm going to release this game and it's going to change my company for the better. It's going to give us a stronger platform. It's going to give us stronger content. It's going to give us a base to build new content on, right? And then the other thing that every new tabletop role-playing game has the possibility of doing, that every designer should be thinking about, is it has the ability to change the industry for the better. So that's what was at stake. Paizo's growth. Change the company. Change the industry. Okay? And so here's my take. Starfinder didn't do any of those things. Right? Here are the signifiers that I believe indicate that Starfinder did not accomplish any of the things that I'm talking about, okay? One, when I look on YouTube, when I look around, when I look at the blogs that talk about tabletop role-playing games, when I talk about the podcasts that talk about tabletop role-playing games, Starfinder isn't dominating anything, right? It's the new hot game. It should be the new hot game of 2017. And frankly, I hear as much talk about Pugmire, which is a D&D skin with dogs, right? So I really just don't feel that Pathfinder captured the conversation. It didn't, okay? Here's some very practical signifiers, okay? So James L. Sutter has been with Paizo for a very long time, like 5-10 years. Long time. He was a major contributor to Starfinder. He carefully waited for Starfinder to drop, see what the reaction was, and once James L. Sutter, so here's the timing, and then I'll tell you what I think the timing means. So here's the timing. James L. Sutter, contributor for Starfinder, active member of Paizo, right? Starfinder release. Carefully planned. I can't say that he planned it. Okay, actually, then a period of about 2 to 3 weeks where Starfinder is out there, right? James L. Sutter leaves Paizo. All right. Now, I'm a huge movie fan. Guess what? I've seen this a million times. Right? So you're building your movie. You release your movie. Your movie does terrible at the box office. You switch companies because you got to go find a new home, right? And that's the thing. James L. Sutter, was with Paizo, helped build Starfinder, watched the release of Starfinder, saw that it did jack all of nothing, and that, in my opinion, he elected to leave Paizo. Right? So James L. Sutter, one of the major contributors for Paizo, for Starfinder, leaving weeks after Starfinder releases. That timing is not coincidental. All right. Here's the next one. Lewis Porter Jr. Lewis Porter Jr., in my opinion, is one of the best tabletop role-playing game designers in the world. Top 10, easily. Okay? He's really important in the industry because I feel he has a unique vision for tabletop role-playing games. He wrote Haven, City of Violence. He's really, really good at tabletop role-playing game layout. He is deep in the tabletop role-playing game industry. And for the last few years, he has been one of the top, if not the single top, third-party publisher for Pathfinder. Okay? Starfinder comes out, right? So what would the top guy for Starfinder, what would this top Pathfinder guy be doing directly after the release of Starfinder. Well, he should have 3/4 Kickstarters firing up and building Starfinder stuff, right? And he may be doing that, right? But the latest, the post that really kind of saw me come out, that Lewis Porter Jr., the post that was most highlighted in my mind on what he's doing is, weeks after the release of Starfinder, Lewis Porter Jr. is saying, hey, does anybody know a good person to convert Pathfinder Adventures to Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition? Oh, that's bad. That is very bad. So, and the reason why is there was a massive battle. That battle, Paizo stood over here, Wizards of the Coast stood over here. They both had their samurai swords at their sides. They both ran at each other and took their one slash. And I'm telling you right now, I think Paizo's about to fall, right? And Wizards of the Coast is standing. And I really feel Starfinder was important for Paizo. I don't think Paizo's going to go out of business. And the reason why is they have very, very smart executives in charge of that company. And I think what they can do is they can just scale the company down, right? And there's absolutely a market for Pathfinder. It is my opinion that that market is quickly growing small, okay? And actually, yeah, I think it's not growing, it's growing smaller, right? And that's a big deal. So there was a lot on the line for Starfinder. There really was, just a whole lot of things that really needed to happen for Starfinder to succeed. Now, I actually have, I also want to say, okay, that I have a lot of respect for Paizo for attempting what they attempted to do. They have really added to the tabletop role-playing game industry. The quality of their books, the art, the layout, the writing, not the rules, personally. I feel that was always their Achilles heel, right? Those things were always at such an incredibly high level that they demanded and they earned respect within the industry. But I think Paizo was a season for the tabletop role-playing game industry where they were a dominant player, and I think that season is now coming to a close with the release of Starfinder. I think Starfinder was a bold effort. I really think they poured their blood, sweat, and tears in here. I don't think this was a lack of effort. I think it was a lack of. I shouldn't say it was a bold effort. I actually, you know what? I will say it was a hard fought effort, right? And frankly, I think the biggest issue why it didn't succeed is very, very, in summation, I would say they weren't bold enough. They didn't make the hard choices and do innovations that really would have driven the game further, would have driven their company further, and would have driven the industry further. And I think that's another thing too, is that's what was standing in front of them with Starfinder, to make Starfinder successful, going up against a juggernaut, which is Wizards of the Coast. They had to change their game, they had to change their company, and they had to change the industry all in one fell swoop. And in my opinion, they failed to do that with Starfinder. And but I don't say this with joy. I say it with a lot of trepidation and with some sadness, because I have really mixed feelings about Paizo and what they did with Pathfinder. But I also, just reading about, actually, just to be clear, this entire review is based on the $9.99 PDF version of Starfinder, over 500 pages long, bought officially through Paizo's website. And I read that entire game, and I have continued to hear what other people are saying about the game and just look at what it's doing in the market. And it has made me quite sad that that it didn't go the way it could have went, because I think Paizo is an important company. They worked hard. They really helped the industry overall for a long time. They were incredibly useful during Dungeons & Dragons 4th edition, and maybe there's a possibility for a phoenix from the ashes, but Starfinder didn't do that, and they're not they're not burning yet. Like, I really feel that Paizo is still a viable, functional company that should be right now downsizing, which is okay because it's what they need to do to fit into the proper market they have. So it really is with kind of a sad face that I say this. Also, I want to admit a bias here, and that is, there is something that Paizo has that I want. Okay, so a long time ago, I was listening to cannot remember what the context was, but I was listening to my daughter is kind of a feminist, so there are times where I will read feminist content and kind of listen to feminist content, and this was specifically audio from a debate between a feminist and a non-feminist, and they got onto and this non-feminist came forward and said, why are there so few female chess grandmasters if women are equally intelligent to men? And this feminist proponent came forward and said, if you look at a grandmaster and you see what a chess grandmaster actually is, it is a genius that has dedicated himself to triviality. And that was her answer, right? And honestly, here's my admitting my bias, okay? I want every player who is currently playing Pathfinder and Starfinder to stop playing those games and join the community on games that aren't skins of another game. I think at the end of the day, Pathfinder is a skin of Dungeons & Dragons. And it makes me sad that, that so many people are dedicating themselves. And that's the other thing, is the Pathfinder players are particularly smart. They're particularly gifted players. And I really want them to come into the community and start to build games and play games and game master on games like Cypher and games like Fate and games like Blades in the Dark and games like Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. It's an important one. It's an incredibly important one. We need those incredibly talented players in other places. And I feel like overall, the industry and especially the tabletop role-playing community is not benefited by all those incredibly talented, incredibly smart, incredibly dedicated players being over on the Pathfinder side. Because at the end of the day, it's just it is a huge amount of our best resources saying, I want to pretend it's 2005, right? And I just don't feel that that's good for the community. So I just want to be honest and say that's one of the reasons why my that bias is in this review. Okay, so that's my review of Starfinder. Right, it is a 2 out of 5 star review. I have incredible respect for the blood, sweat, and tears that went into this game. The art is amazing. The writing is top quality. The rules are a huge problem. The setting is problematic. But that's that's me talking about Starfinder. And I know this is really kind of a mixed bag, so I appreciate your patience, and thank you very much. Take care.